Hi, my name is Julia, and I want to keep telling you the saga of how a con man came into our family and preyed on my elderly aunt and uncle. But I did have a couple questions that I really wanted to address. In my last video, I kept saying that all the people in our family were wondering, who is this Pat guy? And this is my tip number two. My tip number one, trust your gut. Tip number two, talk with other people in your family. So this is what happened when I say that all the people in the family were really questioning, who is this Pat guy and what is he doing in your home? The problem is we didn't talk to each other and ask each other, hey, has Aunt so-and-so been talking about this Pat guy to you? Because again, we thought it was weird, but we also thought, I'm going to sound like a deckham crazy person if I have to, reach out to other people. And so, tip number two, talk with other people that are in your loved ones' lives and see if they think it's kind of weird too. Because that was a huge mistake that I made. And I wish now I really would have reached out to my other family members and said, doesn't this seem weird to you? Now, that being said, I did reach out to my father and I specifically asked him if he had met Pat. And he said, yes, he's such a lovely guy. He's so helpful. He's so friendly. The yada, yada, yada. He's so helpful. He's so friendly. Well, of course he is. What con artist isn't going to be friendly? It's part of the con. So, as individuals, we all saw it, but we never shared our notes with each other. So that's a huge tip moving forward for you and your families to avoid this. Talk with each other and ask each other, hey, did this seem weird to you? Because I think it seems weird to me. And the other thing that came up is, where were we? So my aunt and uncle had 5 nieces and nephews. We were all over the United States, and all of us were in regular contact with our aunt and uncle before and after our uncle died. When I mean regular contact, I mean even though we lived in different states, we were there physically visiting with them often. We were there on the phone with them often. So it wasn't like we weren't in the picture, and that's why we kept hearing, oh, Pat is going to take me to the Costco. Oh, Pat's taking me to my doctor's appointment. Pat is going to go take me to HEB to go get groceries. And had I just reached out to somebody else in the family and said, does that seem weird to you? Because our aunt was just taking herself to HEB just a little while ago. She was in no way cognitively or physically impaired at all. So this was definitely part of the grooming and part of her manipulation that happened. The ages that came up of my aunt and uncle. My uncle died when he was, I believe, 94 years old, and at the time my aunt would have been in her late 80s. So again, this is someone that hiked a mile with me in December and played strategy games with my husband and I in late December. This is not someone who was addled in brain. She was cognitively sharp and physically with it. And then the other thing was, there were several different wills through their time, but after my uncle died, Pat said, well, of course you have to redo your will because your husband is no longer, your beneficiary. And he's the one who talked her into a new will and with a new attorney. And that's when we're going to really dive deeply into the different variations of this will and how, surprisingly enough, my aunt with this stranger by her signed a new will less than 2 days before she died. More to come. Take care. I just wanted to verify those things, and thank you for following. Thank you for liking and sharing, and I appreciate all of your comments, and I'm trying to get back to all of you, and thank you just so much for everything. Cheers. Okay, P.S. I almost forgot something super duper important. Okay, my aunt and uncle, they had 5 nieces and nephews. They did not have children of their own. So we kind of became their children. And I think all of us would probably agree we would have probably preferred our aunt and uncle to be our real parents, but they kind of took on that role. They were the cool aunt and uncle, and we were all exceptionally close to them. So they didn't have kids of their own, which is why their 5 nieces and nephews is why we are like their their main points of contact within the family. My uncle is on my side. So on my side, there are 2 nieces and 1 nephew. And then on my aunt, who just passed away in January, there are 2 nephews. So I just wanted to break that down because that was another question and I forgot to address it. Cheers and thank you yet again. Take care.